Hey everybody, and a fantastic Friday for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere with me. I hope you have had a wonderful day and you are enjoying your evening. And for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, I hope that you are having a fantastic start to your day and that you have a wonderful day planned ahead of you. Now, as you jump on to tonight's session, please let me know where you are listening in from: Australia, New Zealand, Canada, UK, America. I always love knowing where you are listening in from. And as of tomorrow, I know London, you're going to be going into lockdown. So if you want any tips or any suggestions on how to keep busy and how to keep occupied during the lockdown, I am happy to give you lots of tips and advice that really helped me get through our stage 4 lockdown, where I really couldn't go anywhere and I really couldn't do anything for quite a number of weeks. So today, a beginner, a year from now, an expert. I think a lot of people are really hard on themselves about not being an expert or not being an authority. And what you have to remember is that a doctor has to go through university and has to be an intern and has to do a residency before they can even be allowed to say, I'm a doctor and I do medical stuff. A lawyer has to go to university and has to be the bottom rung of the law firm ladder and has to work their way up to being a partner in that law firm. A chef has to be an apprentice for at least 4 years. And then they have to prove themselves and they have to be a line cook, and then they have to be a sous chef, and then they can be an executive chef. And a lot of people, they'll be a line cook and they're quite happy being a line cook. And some people will be a sous chef and they're quite happy to be a sous chef. And some people really want to be that executive chef. Painters, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Rembrandt. There was a day where they were all an apprentice of the masters that came before them. Any writer, there was a moment before your book was published. There was a moment before you even wrote the first sentence where you didn't even know what the story was going to be about. What happens when you decide to pursue something is that you will go through stages of knowledge acquisition, and you'll go through stages of there's so much that you don't know. And then as the days and the weeks and the months and the years progress, you know a little more and you don't know a little less. And after a certain amount of time, there's certain aspects of your life that you will become an expert in. If you had asked me to do makeup a year ago, I would have been freaked out and I probably would have done like something terrible with your makeup. But I did my course and I practice and I practice and I practice and I practice. And I find what brushes work for me, what brushes don't work for me. I find the colors I like to play with, the colors I don't like to play with. And, you know, I'm always deciding, am I going to have a subtle eyeshadow and a bold lip, or am I going to have a bold eyeshadow and a subtle lip? And there's all these little tips and tricks of the makeup industry that as you learn them, it's like, oh, doing makeup can be fun and you can really, get some joy out of it. And for me, because I have hooded eyes, and I did my course and it was like, okay, when you have hooded eyes, your color has to go a little bit, more accentuated, and you have to go, above the crease to really have that pop and to not have the color disappear into the lids. And for me, the little bit of contouring, a little bit of highlighting, little things that I didn't know, but now I do. And so when I do my makeup, it's so much fun and it's so enjoyable. When I teach other people how to do their makeup, it's really fun to teach them all the little tips and tricks that maybe they didn't know before, but now they can implement into their everyday life. And you can name me any industry. And there was a point where they were a beginner. It was day one of their first day on the job and they had no clue what they were doing. On Monday, I start my new job as an allied health assistant. And whilst I know how to be an allied health assistant, and whilst I know how to help physiotherapists and how to help occupational therapists, this job and the actual work model is something completely new to me, and I'm really excited about it. And that's the fun thing about being a beginner who becomes an expert, is that you get to have fun learning along the way. As a chef, as you go through your apprenticeship, you learn how to make more complex, more challenging, more multi-leveled flavored meals. You get to learn the intricacies of pastry, or you get to learn, the different techniques of pasta, or you get to learn, the high notes of a meal and the low notes of the meal. That when they come together is this impactful flavor. As you write a book, so many authors, when they're interviewed, they will say that the characters really come to life, and the characters actually tell the author where to take the story and where the story should go. There's a movie called Alex and Emma. And Alex is a struggling writer who has a gambling debt. And his publisher has said, give me a new book and I'll give you an advance. And the advance would cover, his gambling debts and make the baddies who, make you pay your debts stop coming after him. And Emma is that person that sits in a courtroom and types really fast. She's one of those people. I can't remember her job title, but they cross paths, and Alex finds that he can speak and the story just comes out of his mouth. So he speaks and Emma is like writing the story. And as she's writing the story, she gets sucked into the story and she starts making suggestions, and she adds in a couple of characters, and she even changes the storyline around a little bit. But as a writer is writing the book, when they first start writing that book, they don't know the characters in depth. They don't know, is that character a good guy or a bad guy? And they don't know what the ending is going to be. In some cases, they know what the ending is. They just haven't figured out how to get there. And as they write the story, they make their way to the end. It is the same with anything that you choose to pursue. When you're doing cross-stitching and you've got the picture of what all of this thread on this white piece of fabric is supposed to look like, you look at the fabric, you look at the thread, you look at the picture, and it's like, how is all that thread going onto that piece of fabric making that? However, color by color, block by block, you start to form a picture and you start to see it come to life. And when you do your outlines or you do your shadings with the thread and, you know, the certain different techniques of cross stitching, it comes off the fabric and it comes to life and it feels like it's moving. And with chefs and their meals, you know, someone knows what a coq au vin looks like and what a coq au vin is supposed to taste like. People know what a ratatouille is supposed to look like and what a ratatouille is supposed to taste like. However, there are certain things that a chef will do with measurements or, you know, the cooking time, and they really finesse it and they make that meal have a life of its own. In the animated movie Ratatouille, they make ratatouille for the critic. And you see that he takes the first bite and he's taken back to when he was a little boy, living with his mum out in the country, and she made ratatouille, and that was like his favorite meal. And he just, you know, gobbled up that meal. And that's the power of starting off as a beginner and sticking with something to become the expert. You know, when you watch Glow Up on Netflix, and Val Garland is like a top makeup artist. And for Val to love your work, it's a big deal. Like, you quake in your feet in her presence. Like, to work with Val is to just live as a makeup artist. But there was a day when Val Garland was a newbie who knew nothing, but she stuck at it, and now she is a world-renowned MUA. She is backstage at runways. She's the key artist, which is like the head makeup artist at runway shows. She does editorials all over the world. You want to be Val Garland if you're a makeup artist. The same thing for chefs. Chefs want to be Gordon Ramsay, or they want to be Jamie Oliver, or they want to be Marco Pierre White, or they want to be Nigella Lawson. They want to be that chef. They want their passion, their joy, their hobby to be their career. There's a movie on Netflix I've started watching today called Christmas Made to Order. And the lady loves decorating. It's a hobby at the moment. It's a side hustle at the moment, but she wants it to be a fully fledged job. And there was probably a time in her life where she had no idea of where to start with decorating, but she figured it out. And that is the major lesson that Wesley Virgin teaches in the Mindset Reset program. Don't ever say, I don't know how to do this. You're allowed to say that, but you always must attach to it, I'ma figure it out. I don't know how to do this, I'ma figure it out. I'ma figure it out. I don't know how to do makeup, I'm gonna figure it out. I don't know how to sew a dress from scratch, I'ma figure it out. I don't know how to write a book, I'ma figure it out. And what you have to do to get to being an expert is ask for help. I think I've messaged my new recruitment person. I've messaged her 15 times today because I want to make sure that I've done all the correct paperwork. I want to make sure that I've logged on to all the correct portals. I want to make sure I've downloaded everything so that when it comes to my first shift on Tuesday, I'm set and ready to go, and I'm an incredible, valuable asset to this team, and that I am an additional fantastic helping hand to the physiotherapist, because I love asking questions. I love asking for help. When people don't help me, when people expect me to figure it out for myself, my respect level for them goes from here to here. Don't expect me to figure it out for myself when I've asked you for help. If you know the answer to my question, answer the freaking question. Because what happens with me, I ask my question, you answer me, I'll never ask the question again. I ask my question, you expect me to figure it out for myself, I'm gonna fuck it up 10,000 times until you give me the right answer. So how about we cut the crap of me making 10,000 mistakes and you give me the answer the first time? So that's what happens when you go from being a beginner to an expert. You figure out what works for you. You figure out what doesn't work for you. You figure out what things allow you to be the best version of yourself and what things just aren't serving you. You figure out what things are making you happy, joyful, content, fulfilled, and allowing you to be the happiest, healthiest version of yourself, and you get rid of everything else. You just go. And what happens is, as you progress on your journey, you discover things about yourself, things that you didn't know that now you do. And you get to a point where you are a beginner when it comes to happiness, contentment, joy, fulfillment, to you are an expert. You know exactly what makes you happy, joyful, content, and fulfilled. And you are so convicted because you know yourself so well that people have to join your knowledge train or they have to stay off your tracks. And those are the only two options that people have in your life. They have to help you become the best version of yourself. They have to help you become the happiest, healthiest version of yourself. They have to help you discover your happiness, joyfulness, contentment, and fulfillment, or they have to stay out of your way. That's the only two options they have. And what happens is when you really decide the levels from beginner to expert, you start to figure out what needs to be done to get from here to here. I had a beautiful conversation with someone last night that is really wanting to build their network marketing business. And they've been watching my lives and they've been watching my content for about 6 months now. And they've been in their network marketing business for about 4 years. And they're like, how do you do it, Amy? How do you stay so motivated? How do you stay so consistent? And I said to her, what is your why? Why did you get started? What do you want to get out of this? Where do you want to be a year from now? And she was like, no one's ever asked me these questions. And I'm like, well, I'm different. And I said to her, have you posted the answers to my questions on Facebook? It's like, no, I've never done that. Like, I want you to do that. See what happens. I want you to share more of yourself. And I gave her a few really good tips, things that I do to really connect and engage with you, my beautiful audience, whether it's here on Facebook or it's privately in Facebook Messenger. And implementing those strategies is going to take her from here to here. And then when she's here, I can give her more strategies to bring her up to here and here and here. So I really want you to have a look at the different aspects of your life. And I really want you to ask yourself, are you a beginner? Are you intermediate? Are you advanced? Are you an apprentice? Are you a teacher? Are you a master? And The areas of your life that you are a beginner, ask yourself, who in your atmosphere is a teacher? So who's above you? And then when you feel like you're a teacher in that aspect of your life, find the master and learn from the master until you become a master. And then I promise you, there's someone in that aspect of your life that is a grand master, and you can work your way up to that. My arms are not long enough. But every aspect of your life, you want to be a grand master. You want to be the happiest, healthiest version of yourself. You want to be happy, joyful, content, and fulfilled. You want to be the best version of yourself. And you want your family and your friends to see that. You want your family and friends to feel that. So what are the aspects of your life that you need to consider? Yourself. Are you the apprentice when it comes to knowing who you are? Or are you a grand master? Your relationships. Are you an apprentice when it comes to your relationship with your intimate partner, with your children, with your parents, with your siblings? Or are you a grand master? Your work life. Are you an apprentice when it comes to where you sit in the workforce, or are you a grand master? Your community. Are you a newbie when it comes to participating in your community, or are you a grand master? Your belief structure. Do you go to church? Do you serve your community? Do you go to temple? Is there something that you believe in that is an aspect of your everyday life? Are you the apprentice or are you the grand master when it comes to your home? Do you know your home? Do you cherish your home? Does your home feel loved? And I know some of you think, Amy, it's a roof, it's 4 walls and a floor. No, it has a spirit. It has an energy to it. And the more you love your home, the more you cherish your home, the more it will love and cherish you. Do you know yourself when it comes to your friendships? Are you an apprentice when it comes to being a friend? Or are you a grand master when it comes to being a friend? There are so many different aspects of your life that I could go in depth with you. And you know the aspects of your life that you really need to look at and consider. But I really want you to start asking yourself that in-depth question. Am I an apprentice? Am I a teacher? Am I a master? Or am I a grand master? And really ask yourself, if you're an apprentice, what do you need to do to become teacher? If you're teacher, what do you need to do to become master? And if you're master, what do you need to do to become grand master? And if you're a grand master, what do you need to do to maintain that? What do you need to do to maintain that? Because if you're an apprentice and you want to be a teacher and you get to be a teacher, you might become complacent. If you're a teacher and you become a master and you just want to be a master, you might become complacent. But when you choose to be a grand master, when you choose that every aspect of your life serves you, that every aspect of your life is working together in synchronicity to make you happy, healthy, joyful, content, fulfilled, living your best life, You want to maintain that awesomeness, and you are willing to teach others and create that awesomeness for them too, and bring them up to your level. And by teaching others, you're always going to be constantly reminding yourself of how important it is to be your awesome self and to help other people realize that as well. So, that is my challenge to you. Are you an apprentice in the aspects of your life? Are you a teacher? Are you a master? Or are you a grandmaster? And what do you need to do to become? And what do you need to do to maintain? I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your evening or time out of your morning to spend it with me. I always do value and appreciate your time, and I do hope that you got incredible value out of today's session. As you know, I never pre-plan the next day's session, so I look forward to what happens for us tomorrow. For those of you that want to do the Power Talk meditation, I will see you tomorrow, 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. For everyone else, I will see you tomorrow night, 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Have a fantastic evening. As always, be safe, be well, much love.